Hi, College Success Skills. This is your Week 2 video. Week 2 runs from January 25th through January 31st. So hopefully now that you are all through Week 1 of the semester, you are starting to feel a little more comfortable with navigating Blackboard, although it may still take another week or so to get fully accustomed to how to kind of get through all the different folders and pieces of it. So as a reminder, when you log in, you're always going to get into our class and it'll open up at the Start Here section where you can review that welcome video if you need to, that walks you through a little bit of the components, and then of course you have the welcome and the syllabi and all that kind of stuff here, all those different resources. The majority of the time you'll spend in that lessons area. I'm recording this during week 1, so that's why you see this open. Eventually you will no longer see week 1, but week 2 will be opened at this point. So this is where you'll do a majority of your work, right here inside that lessons area. And then as a reminder, your announcements, I put announcements there. Anytime I put an announcement, I also put it as a course message, and then your course calendar every week when it opens, you'll be able to see the assignments for the week on the course calendar as well. And then just as a quick reminder, please always just be checking your grades. I teach a lot of online classes. I try to grade as quickly as possible, but that's why I always let my students know, like, hey, just keep tabs on your grades. If you think something's amiss, just reach out and let me know, and I'll look into it. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down, and we're going to be in week 2. It is still the introduction. What's nice about taking this class as a 16-week course is I think it moves at a nice steady pace. I do teach this class as an 8-week course, and sometimes that gets a little chaotic. So here we have our chapter overview. Again, we're going to be in the introduction. So we're not moving into the full chapter yet. Remember, there is a physical textbook for this class, whether you are able to get it from our bookstore, if you're able to get the online version of it, or if you're able to buy it used or whatnot, or rent it. So you have 2 assignments this week, something called the 7 Success Strategies, which I'll go over here in a few minutes, as well as a Title IX quiz. There are no discussion forums this week. So because of that, both of these assignments are due by Sunday, and completing both assignments will get you full week 2 attendance. If you only complete one or the other, so only one out of the 2, you'll still get half attendance credit. You just won't get that full attendance points. So you want to make sure that you're completing them not only for the grades themselves, but also for the fact that you get attendance from them. Okay, so again, every week is set up very similarly, where you have your materials folder. In this case, here we have kind of the chapter slides and the intro pages. So what I did here, because we're in their introduction, I scanned the introduction here. I like to do this for the introduction and the first chapter, just so that you can start to kind of ease into the text if you haven't had a chance to get the textbook yet. So I really do encourage you to take advantage of that. And here are the slides for this particular section of our book. I do like to include all the slides for every section, whether it's the introduction in this case or the chapters themselves, to go over the main concepts. So you can always use this as a guide while you read. So because last week was really just the intro to the course, this week we're going to start getting into the actual reading. I'm going to go through the slides here just for a few minutes. So in your very introduction pages, again, we're not in chapter 1 quite yet, in your introduction pages, it's going to talk about getting a strong start, which part of that means knowing about the syllabus, which of course, hopefully you already are familiar with because you took the syllabus quiz. If you're not, going back and revisiting, but every class you have is going to have, your syllabus, so make sure you're familiar, write down the dates, make sure you know the expectations. Also know about the resources. One of the things that I aim to do in this class is to introduce you to as many campus resources as possible. That's why you'll see every few weeks you'll have a campus resource reflection where I'll introduce to you the digital library, the counseling services, the writing center, whatever it might be, so you know what help is there and you can hopefully take advantage of that. So knowing your resources is helpful. The first year seminar course, so every 2- and 4-year undergraduate institution has a course like this, whether they call it student success, they call it orientation, whatever the name is, it's very similar in terms of acquainting you with not only college, but the specific college that you're attending. And what they found is there are actually a lot of benefits. This class has been around for a few years now, and they tracked the data, and it lines up with what our textbook says, that students do end up with better grades. They're more persistent, which means they are more likely to graduate. They're more likely to participate. They know different options and resources. So there are a lot of benefits to taking a course such as this. So you'll also see in the introduction here, they go through, there's 10, so it's these 2 slides, 10 myths or facts to kind of look and see, do you believe, is this a myth or do you believe this is a fact? To kind of start making you think about, well, what do I believe about this? Or what are my preconceived notions about college? And when you look at your actual textbook for the introduction, it'll tell you which one of these are myths and which one are facts. So I encourage you to look at that. So again, that is in the materials folder. If you don't have your textbook quite yet, I have scanned it for you, so you can go through and read it more in depth. You can use my slides as a guide to help you with your reading as you look. So there is that. Okay, so now that that's kind of an overview of what you're doing in terms of the reading material, we're going to go to the assignment area. So as I mentioned a little bit ago, there is no discussion forum. So both of these assignments are due on Sunday for week 2 attendance. So I'm going to talk about this one down here first, actually. The Title IX training and quiz, it's going to kind of remind you possibly of your syllabus quiz in that it's going to be automatically graded. So there's nothing that you have to do extra or I have to do extra. You click on it and it is going to open up into this like moving, talking slideshow. So here we go. You'll click next.
This presentation.
I'm going to pause it. So it's going to read to you. You're going to have slides to look through.
Title IX of the education.
And then eventually it's going to ask you some questions. And every single student who takes one of these type of classes, their first year classes, takes this. This is one of those things where all students across the state, and then I imagine different states have their own version of this, has to take this. And again, when you're done, the very last slide, make sure it runs all the way through, and then the grade will automatically copy over into the grade book, and that way I can see it on my end. So that's one of the 2 assignments you're completing this week, the Title IX training and quiz due by Sunday. The second assignment, this is part of your required chapter, even though we're not in the chapters yet. Every chapter has a required assignment. This is the required assignment for the introduction. It's called 7 Success Strategies at a Glance. So this again, it does ask you to preview the text by reading the 7 Success Strategies at a Glance. And what I did is, if you did not have your book yet, go back quickly. Here we go. I scanned in every strategies at a glance for every chapter. So here's what chapter 1's kind of at a glance looks like. Here's what chapter 6 at a glance looks like. So that way, if you don't have your book, you at least, and I apologize, some of them got caught off over there. That way you at least have those at a glance to look at. And what you're doing is you're going to look at all of those and look at specifically 3 strategies that you would like to learn more about, and go to that particular section of the text. So if you have your book, if you see some strategies like in chapter 2, like, oh yeah, I really think I need to look more into that, you would go to those specific sections in chapter 2. Now, if you don't have your textbook yet, you can just focus and talk about, why do you need to focus on this section? What do you need to improve on? So again, let me get in here. Let's say in chapter 4, I look and I say, you know what? I have a hard time balancing life, school, and work. So if I had my book, I would go to this particular section in chapter 4 and just read a little bit about it. If I don't have my book, I'm just going to talk about maybe my struggles and what I could do to try to improve on it. But you are going to pick, as it says here, 3 strategies, and that could be 3 from the same chapter, or it could be 3 strategies from 3 different chapters. It doesn't matter. And you're going to write a brief summary, 1 to 2 paragraphs, about the key points of those topics. Okay? You can do it in a Word document, so having like a Microsoft Word document and saving it and uploading it, or you can, when you go in here, again, it tells you all the information you need there, you can click Write Submission, and you can, type your 2 paragraphs in here. If you are going to submit a Word document, you simply go to Browse Files, wherever you have saved it, you find your article, you hit Open, you'll see that it pops up here, and then you hit Submit. I'm going to hit Cancel because I don't want to upload that, and that way I'll be able to see it under the needs grading. Okay, so if you have questions on either of those assignments or anything else related to the class, please feel free to message me, right in Blackboard under course messages, post a question in my email if you need to email me through my Stark State email, call my office extension, whatever works for you. And as you finish each week, like I did in week 1, I will message you inside Blackboard and say, hey, you're all finished, just so that it kind of gives you comfort to know that you're on the right track. All right, again, if you need anything, reach out. Have a great week 2 of the semester. Bye.